What is up, beautiful people of the world? We've got some special treats for you today. We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff here. I had to stop and start several times. I ended up with like 100 windows open. And yeah, so I had to shut it all down and begin again. So we're going to try to stay on track. I got some really interesting stuff to show you. There's a few sets of genes that we're going to talk about today. And I'll just let it speak for itself. But I found a nice little clip from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, believe it or not. That's interesting because we're going to do a lot of digging today, and we're going to talk about dwarves. And so I just wanted to play this short clip for you here. And hopefully you can, let me make sure I'm sharing my sound here. Hopefully you can enjoy it as much as I did.
Rich quick. If you dig, dig, dig with a shovel or a pick.
In a mine, in a mine, in a mine, in a mine, where a million diamonds shine. We dig, 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 dig from early morn till night. We dig, 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 dig up everything inside. We dig up diamond files for 1,000 rubies, sometimes more. But we don't know what we dig them for. We dig, 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 dig. It's home from work we go. Hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. It's home from work we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho.
I'll stop it there. We're going to talk about dwarves, and we're going to do a little digging on the subject of dwarves. And you don't have to whistle while you do this with me if you don't want to. But I thought that was extremely fitting for the subject that we're going to talk about today, which is dwarves, and surrounding a few sets of genes called nanos and pumilio. So before we get into it, let's talk about the etymology of the genes, because it literally opens a floodgate of ancient, secret, hidden mysteries, knowledge, ultimate biohacks, if you will. And so when we type in, I don't even remember how I came across these genes. I was looking at something and I thought, well, let's look at what that means and so on and so forth. And it just led me down this trail here that led me right back to a giant dwarf star called Sirius. We're going to get serious today, okay? So when I type in dwarf star mythology, that's what comes up, Sirius. So we'll get into that in just a minute here. But before we do, what is a pumilio gene? What is it doing? Well, it's involved with embryogenesis, literally kickstarting life, stem cell, the regeneration, fertility, and neurological functions. And that's just a small snippet. And the nanos and pumilio genes work together, kind of hand in hand. They're involved with microRNA, okay? So, of quick note here, and we'll get into this in just a minute as well. Genetic Home Reference talks about it, and it mentions, where'd it go? NORAD. right? Ink RNA, NORAD, non-coding RNA activated by DNA damage, NORAD. Well, you do have a gene called NORAD. NORAD gene. There it is, NORAD gene. You see that? What else is NORAD? Who can tell me what NORAD is for? North American Aerospace Defense Command. So do you think that that might be a mistake? We're talking about aerospace here, folks. We're talking about dwarves. We're talking about Sirius, the dog star, the all-seeing eye, right? The eye of Ra, all this stuff, right? All ties in together. These dwarves, talking about the abyss, the sea of nothingness, all this stuff surrounded by it. So that's pretty interesting too, NORAD and all that stuff. But this POOM gene, POOM1, Pomilio, that's exactly what it does. It has to do with microRNA, okay? And related to it is spinocerebellar ataxia 47 with problems with gait. Well, you've got another gene called gait, the gait complex it's called, as it were. Gait element is what it's called, okay? But what does the word gait mean even? Gait, etymology. Okay. Oops, gait. I want gait etymology. Here we go. I had to look this up later too. Oh my goodness. Variation from the word gait. Gait, gait, gait. Or gateway. See that? Manner of walking, stepping, bearing a carriage while moving. To teach specific gait to a horse. What else do we see here? Goat. Goat from gate. Gate, original meaning. A going or walking, departure, journey, earlier, way, road, path. See all that? So apparently, this is related to going through some gate on some journey. You see what I'm seeing here? I'm literally seeing the code, you know? So that's topic for another topic of discussion for another day. The gate element, right? But when we look up the etymology of Humilio, it says it means dwarf. In the same manner, we look up nano, or what the etymology of nanos is, right? Nanos etymology, right? Means dwarf. Same thing. So both these genes mean dwarf. So are they talking about a dwarf? Are they talking about something else? It just dawned on me when I was looking this stuff up. Let me see if I can find it again here for you. They mentioned a star, constellations. There we go, astronomy. A star, relatively small size. And that's when it dawned on me, right? They're also talking about mythological small beings, right? These dwarves. So which is it? Or is it both? I'll let you decide, but they are intertwined as well. And so, again, if we look up the etymology of the word nanos, what do we see here? Let me see if I can find this for you. Oh, nanos and mythology, excuse me. What does that have to do with mythology? Well, here's a Greek word for you. A dwarf star. So there it is. There's the confirmation. Astronomy, dwarf star, right? When we look up dwarf star and mythologies, first thing that comes up is Sirius. About to get serious here, okay? Dwarf stars, where was I here? Oh boy. Also means small, as in nano, right? And so, oh, what was it down here? There's another article, standing on the shoulder of giants. Latin, nano, Greek mythology. Something about giants and dwarfs. Maybe we're the dwarfs. But here's a article I came across talking about myths and realities of nano, like nanotechnology. And I find it extremely fascinating that they're putting a few images up here. You see if I can bring that up for you. You see that right there? That's what they call a Buckminster fullerene, folks. And a Buckminster fullerene is connected to, I also got one down here, that's a microtubule connected to clathrin, okay? Buckminster fullerene, clathrin mediated endocytosis. See if I can pull this up for you real quick. So clathrin forms the buckyball. There it is, a little soccer ball, okay? And it's extremely important because, where does it say here? Allows cells to communicate, transfer nutrients, to import signaling receptors, to mediate an immune response after sampling the extracellular world, and to clean up cell debris left by tissue inflammation. This pathway gets hijacked by viruses and pathogens. Okay? And what does it do? It forms a Triskelion. Oh, that's one of the most ancient symbols known to man. This spiral design can be based on interlocking Archimedean spirals. Archimedean spirals. What's it say here? See also, golden spiral of Fibonacci. That's the golden spiral of life, folks, right there. So when they're talking about nano, or nanos, meaning dwarf or small, and nanotechnology, they're utilizing these mechanisms, right? Clathrin, Triskelions, microtubules. That's a microtubule right there, which is said to hold consciousness, right? Let me see if I think it's called the Orff theory. Microtubules. Let me see if I find it. Microtubules, or the Orff theory, excuse me. Orchestrated objective reduction, right? Said to hold our consciousness and free will directly connected to microtubule function. Consciousness of the universe, microtubules, the Orff theory, okay? That's why when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. That when I'm just doing a search for nanos, and including the word mythology, not very far down here, they're talking about clathrin and microtubules standing on the shoulder of giants, okay? Clathrin, microtubules, nanos, or nana or nanotechnology, okay? Oh, and here's another thing, Project Sirius from Microsoft, working also on the Project Iris. These are all, it's right in front of your face, every day, all the time. And it's encoded in the genes as well. Talking about Project Sirius. Do they know something we don't? Project Iris. Iris was connected to a compound called iridium. She was the messenger of the gods. Okay. Optics for the cloud. Okay. I'll just show you this one as well. Ancient aliens, the amphibian gods of ancient Babylon, connected to Sirius as well. Let me just play this short clip for you here. before I do make sure it's sharing my sound. Yep, I am. Okay.
Paris, France. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that housed in the Louvre is an unlikely clue to the mystery of the Dogon tribe of Mali. It's a carved stone made of basalt with a depiction of the Babylonian king Hammurabi speaking with a divine being. Below them, carved in cuneiform, is perhaps the most significant legal text in the ancient world, the Code of Hammurabi.
King Hammurabi ruled ancient Babylon in the 18th century BC, and he devised the world's first known set of laws. For example, this is where we get the idea of an eye for an eye.
Yeah, let me pause that real quick. The Code of Hammurabi you can find on Yale University website. Go there and check it out. The Code of Hammurabi was more or less the merchant system, the merchant code, law of the sea, right? That the Phoenicians and all these ancient civilizations utilized. The Code of Hammurabi, okay? Go look it up, right on Yale University, called the Avalon Project. It's one of the most ancient manuscripts that we know of. Extremely fascinating. I'll keep playing this.
But what's fascinating to me is that according to King Hammurabi himself, this was dictated to him by a being that came from the sky. In my mind, King Hammurabi was documenting exactly what happened. He was advised by an extraterrestrial.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that not only were the Babylonian gods extraterrestrials who instructed King Hammurabi, but that one of them provides an intriguing connection to the Dogon of Africa and their amphibious visitors from Sirius B. That god, the chief god of the Babylonians, was called Dagon.
They have a god named Dagon, and it too is an amphibious human god.
The Babylonian god Dagon sounds eerily similar to the Dogon tribe, who claim they were visited by beings from Sirius B. Is that because the Dogon named themselves after the same god?
The ancient Babylonians had a god, half human, half fish, called Dagon. Is there a relationship between the Dogon and Dagon and the deity of the Babylonians?
It's all how you say something, right? These words are interchangeable. If they sound the same, it's likely that it is the same thing.
Brought civilization to Earth. Absolutely, there could be a relationship.
The Babylonians worshipped Dagon in a temple called Emol, or the House of the Star. Could this be Sirius B? Did inhabitants of this distant star visit both the Dogon in Africa and the Babylonians in the Middle East and leave their name, perhaps Dag or Dog, embedded in both places?
All right, I'll just stop it there. I thought that was interesting. I was trying to find a few videos to explain some of the mythology surrounding them with these amphibious beings, the Dogon tribe, all the stuff surrounding Sirius, right? And so when we look at Sirius in relation to dwarf stars, okay, what they're talking about in this particular link here I found, first of all, it looks like an eye. But they're talking about the death of this star, and it'll, eventually go from where it is right now to a red supergiant star, the beginning of the death. This is the death stage, until eventually it becomes a neutron star, where it kind of turns into a black hole, if you will. Okay. And so, knowing that these genes here, nanos and pumilio, literally mean dwarf, and looking up some etymologies surrounding the mythologies around dwarves, They talk about some Norse mythology down here, in which, let me see if I can find it for you, that dwarves were a product of primordial blood of the being Brimmer and the bones of Blaine. Brimmer was a giant, see that? And consider their names to be a primordial being for Ymir. So when we click on this here, it takes us to another word. Ymir is a primeval being who was born from the venom that dripped from the icy rivers and lived in the grasslands void of Genugapap. Okay. Genugapap. So what the heck's Genugapap? The gaping abyss. Oh, could they be talking about maybe a black hole? The gaping abyss? What else does it say here? Let's see. The yawning, which faced towards the northern quarter, became filled with the heavens, and the masses of ice and rime, and from within drizzling rain and gusts from the southern part of the yawning void was lighted by those sparks and glowing masses which flew out of. They're talking about the Big Bang? What are they talking about here? The cosmic process began with the effulgence of the two met in the middle. So they're making a reference. Where does it go on? It talks about the creation myth in relation to dwarves and dwarf stars and Sirius, and hinting at the idea of black holes. Okay. So when we look at this PUM2 gene, Humilio, and its interactor string network here, the first shell interactor is Aurora kinase, okay? And so Aurora's got all kinds of stuff surrounding mythology as well. Allow me to enlighten you. Aurora is a Latin word for dawn, goddess of dawn in Roman mythology. So Aurora kinases are involved with cellular division, where one becomes two, two becomes four, and so on and so forth. They're connected to a whole nother set of mythologies, like Helios and the sun god. Yeah, we got a gene called Helios as well. And we've got a gene called Eos as well, surrounding all this stuff. Okay. Maybe I just go Eos right here and show you. Eos, a part of the Icarus family of genes. Icarus, spelled a little bit differently, Icarus mythology, right? Flying over, blah, blah, blah. This is has to do with the golden fleece, scorching sun, all kinds of stuff surrounding that. But there it is. Icarios. All right. Extremely important genes, essential for the inhibitory function of regulatory T cells. Okay? See, all this stuff is connected. You just cannot separate what's going on above, below, all the way to the center of the earth. The macro to the micro. Everything is literally connected. And so this video right here I want to play for you next was I found extremely interesting, especially since they start the whole thing off with, well, I'll just show you. Triskelion. I'll just stop it there. I think you kind of get the idea that there's a lot going on here that has been encoded into our genome that tells the story beyond all stories. And if we're looking at genes, this PUM1 gene, Pumilio, I mean dwarf, right? or maybe dwarf star, right? I think I've clearly made that connection at this point. If we scroll down and look at the interactive string network, the pathways and whatnot, we see, oh, where'd it go here? Calathrine derived vesicle budding. Again, calathrine, guys, calathrine. That is the Triskelion. Forms the Triskelion shape, right? The Triskelion, as we just saw, related to Sirius and apparently related to dwarf stars. Okay. So, pretty incredible, pretty amazing discovery that whatever's going on up there is also going on inside of you, in your cellular biology, from the macro to the micro, quite literally. And so how do we form this Triskelion? How do we do it? In this study, it says mannose-6-phosphate receptors regulate the formation of calathrine. So in other words, mannose forms the Triskelion. Okay, and if we look up even further than that, mannose etymology, mannose etymology, you can just look up mannose right here, and they even tell you the etymology of mannose is literally the manna. So the manna from heaven forms the Triskelion, which apparently impacts these sets of genes surrounding dwarfs and dwarf stars. I mean, that's pretty incredible if you think about it. Just absolutely profound. So it says down here, in Theosophy, it is believed that 7 stars of the Pleiades transmit spiritual energy of the 7 rays from the galactic logos to the 7 stars of the Great Bear, then to Sirius. From there it is sent via the sun to the god of earth, the sun, Sanut Kumara, and finally through the 7 masters of the 7 rays to the human race. So apparently some kind of signal is being bounced off a bunch of different planets and eventually gets to us. Okay. But over here they mention Zoroastrianism and whatnot, and Sirius appears as Tishtra and is revered as the rainmaker. So if you just click on that, TIR for short, yes, you've got gene called TIR for short, the TIR domain, related to toll-like receptors, involved with the innate immune system that recognizes pathogens, TIR system, okay? And they also mention it down here as well, so that's twice they're mentioning TIR in this text. TIR, let's see, where'd it go here? There it is again. Talks about a similar association depicted with the temple of Hathor and Dendra, where the goddess was drawn to her arrow. Then it goes on, talks about TIR, known as TIR, the star was portrayed as the arrow itself. Okay, so there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with references all throughout the genome. Yet again, the stuff gets pretty wild here. So then if I move over here and I'm looking at NORAD again, North American aerospace defense, connected to the dwarf and the dwarf star, we see what it is. It's affiliated with these LNC RNA class genes, which stands for basically long non-coding RNA. Long non-coding RNA. And so you can read down here some of the functions of that involved with sonic hedgehog genes. That's sonic hedgehogs are associated more or less with microtubules in the cilia, which are the cellular antenna that flow and stem from the microtubule that receive information, right? Sonic hedgehog signaling. So that's one aspect. What else they talk about down here? They're also involved with sign ALU elements, folks. Sign. What is sign? Sign literally means sign, chord, life, or existence, as in a sine wave, as in frequency determines physiology, right? You cannot make this stuff up. You think they're just picking words out of a random dictionary to describe genes and the way they function? But think again. So sign can mean a sign, can also mean existence, chord, as in a string, as in a bowstring. Well, that's interesting. Just mention an arrow over on the other side of the other link. Okay, so like in a sine wave, let me show you a picture of what that might look like. Sine wave, there it is. Woo, 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 woo. What is a sine wave? It's all about frequency. Frequency determines physiology. Okay, sine wave. There it is. Oscillations, wave patterns, sounds, light, wind, all of it. This wave pattern occurs often in nature, including winds, waves, sound waves, light waves, the whole gamut. You see? Connected to NORAD, connected to long coding RNA, connected to ALU elements. ALU elements. ALU, etymology. Can mean a beer or ale, or it can also mean liver, which is where everything happens. Right? To walk, swim slowly, said of a fish. Can you say Sirius? Doggone Sirius. Also can mean potato. Where else is it? It's connected to a drink called mead. And what is mead? An alcoholic drink fermented of honey and water. Fermented honey. Fermented honey, folks. I was just talking to my very dear friend Adam this week about where the possibility of where they got that honey from. And the honey is connected to the drink of immortality. There's a set of flowers that grows in Indonesia, somewhere next to one of the oldest temples that they have there. That was forbidden by women for a long time. Anyhow, there's some flowers that grow next to this temple that only bloom every 8 years, called Karvi honey. Karvi honey. And so it's my thought that could possibly be one of the ingredients in the drink of immortality. The mead honey, folks, also means ALU. Also connected to the sine wave. Sine, energy frequency, drink of immortality, sign ALU elements. And I could probably stop right there. That's probably good for today. But these are the things that I'm bringing out to the world, you know, and so are other people, just in a negative way. Okay. Project Sirius, Project Iris. Maybe I'll just show you that real quick. Iris mythology. Okay. And how she's connected. She was the messenger of the gods. Huh. Why are they calling that Project Iris? Associated with Project Sirius? They trying to bring you a message? Or maybe they're trying to cut a message off in the form of blocking certain frequency and maybe inserting their own frequency, literally cutting you off from absorbing the right message, right? The right message. They talked about the message being bounced around. Okay. So these are just some things to think about. It's literally all in the genome. Clathrine, dwarf stars, TIR domains, all this stuff, and then some. I had like 50, maybe 100 windows open up at one point. I had to close them all down to try to bring you some clear and concise information. And here's another one I found earlier today. We've got Protein Salvador. SAV1, folks. Salvador family. Protein Salvador homolog. This is a topic for another day. I'll just show you. Salvador etymology. You think they're naming this stuff by chance? Salvador, meaning savior. Oh yeah, there's some heavy stuff, but I think you guys are ready. I think the world's ready, and we're gonna start bringing remedies to the world. Writing a book, all kinds of stuff going on. But make sure you guys share this, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I got nothing but love for you. And as time allots, I'm pretty busy. We'll try to get some more information out to you. Seriously. Peace out, y'all.